I need to get my camera moved. In fact, they got it like this thing. It's zoomed in too much. We can't see the radio stuff behind me. Um, Let me run my radio quit scanning. Anyway, we'll just see if we get any kind of changes in the YouTube algorithm. So yeah, if we get anybody that says anything weird, we're just gonna have to completely remove them and all that good stuff. You need to be careful what you say on here, because obviously too many times it's saying the wrong thing, and YouTube will just shut you down. Or maybe the algorithm is completely changed. I don't know, but the one thing I've noticed is that I can put out a short video and get good views. I can put out a live stream, get no views. Put out regular videos, get so-so views. So we've been trying to do some different stuff, but I didn't want to do any live streams for at least a couple of days to kind of give it a break to see how that's going to change. In the past, that had worked to try and get the YouTube Shorts feed to come back. They will promote you, but if you get too many complaints or maybe not enough interaction or something like that, it seems like after a certain amount of points, too many, like we'd get too many of these people that would come in and leave rude comments, and you would remove them, and then they would come back the next day, and maybe I made a comment to them or something like that. I think it ended up biting me. So I'm trying not to do that anymore, as far as like when weird trolls come in the live stream, to just go ahead and just ignore them, block them, hide them from the channel. You can't really block people on a live stream. You can time them out, and you can basically hide them from the channel. What's going on, James? We're trying to do a live stream again and see if maybe YouTube will promote the channel or not. I don't know. I guess maybe they did it. Did you get a notification? So I've been doing a bunch of these other videos and trying to get my camera stuff to work in Linux, which is kind of tricky. And then we get Dogs Got Problems. Welcome to the live stream. I'm just kind of talking about how the algorithm and all that seems to hide my channel. I used to get a lot of views. I would get like 20,000 views in a couple of hours on a live stream, where we were just showing stuff on the radio going on, and then we went from that to like 4 people watching all the time. Like they just basically decided that, okay, we're not going to promote your channel anymore at all. And I mean, like I went from like, in October I got 2,000 new subscribers just in that month alone, and now like I get like 1 or 2 a day. Sometimes I lose a few. So I'm just trying different experiments to see if maybe I'm on the secret list of YouTube, or I'm just not doing things right, or if maybe the algorithm has changed, which I've heard it's changed. But the weirdest thing, as I noticed lately, was I would stream for 24 hours. We did the scanner stream, and a lot of people like the scanner stuff because you get to listen to all the police stuff and hear some pretty crazy stuff. So after 24 hours, the views would start to go backwards, and they would just keep going backwards and backwards and backwards, and it was really weird. Like I would go, like in 24 hours, this is how bad it was. I would get like 140 views. That was like the top I could possibly get, whereas normally I would have like 20,000 views. And I'm watching that 140 go backwards to like 90, somewhere around that. And at that point, I just ended the stream. And I noticed in the past, when you do a live stream, if you leave it go for a long time, eventually the views would go backwards, even before they started kind of ghosting my channel. But with the stream going backwards, the only thing I can think of is maybe they were like me going in and out of YouTube to look at the stream and make comments from like my mobile device, um, or other people using an IP address going in and out because maybe they're counting too many views and then they just decide that like after 24 hours to try and like uh, get them all consolidated or something. But it's just really weird. You watch like the views just it seemed like every time somebody else would pop in the chat that the views would go backwards, maybe like by one person. You'd see because on the when you're streaming from like OBS Studio and you have all that up, you can see all that information. Like right now, I'm streaming from a mobile device, so I'm just sitting in front of the camera, and all I can see is your comments, but I can't type. I would actually need to be on my computer. So I can see up here, it says there's 3 people, there was 8, there's 2 thumbs up. I can see all that, but I won't see, like, if it rolls backwards like I will on the actual app where I have analytics in front of me. But I am noticing maybe a little bit of a difference from the last time that I did a stream. So we got 6 people in here, so maybe it will pick up. Because I would like to be able to do the streams like we used to do, where I'd get on the radio and call people up in Italy and like, the UK or wherever, VK land, Japan, whatever, and just kind of share ham radio on a live stream, and but I don't think that I don't know that that's working anymore. So I think a lot of people. They're doing a live stream, they sit in front of the camera, they talk to the camera. Whereas before I would just like stay out of the camera because I don't want to be on camera. I want to share ham radio, not put my face in the middle of a video like all the other YouTube ham guys. They always have to be in the video. It's like, dude, why do you need to be in the video? We're looking at a Bofang radio. I don't want to look at your face, But I think the algorithm is like if there is no person in the video and they don't see certain things, then they're like, well, this could be just like a bot program, or this could be maybe a replaying clip. I see a lot of these people have hundreds of people watching their live stream, and it's just a clip. But I think the biggest thing that gets anybody in trouble on here is politics, and I'm very opinionated, and so I have to like kind of shut my mouth and just not say anything, and because it gets even worse. Because then if I talk about it, then a lot of my subscribers think like I do, and they say the same thing. And now we're all labeled as bad, and they don't want that kind of stuff on here because we know which way the algorithm leans. So. We just can't really talk about it, but I guess, it's kind of like on ham radio. It's the same thing, it's the quickest way to cause problems is to bring up politics and all that. My message to the world is to learn how to do amateur radio so that when we have an actual emergency, you might be able to get some help. And that's about it. So what I usually like to do is I do a live stream, and I'll get in front of the radio, and we'll listen to crazy people on the radio doing weird stuff or interesting stuff. Sometimes I'll get on there and I'll call people. I'm in Arizona, so if I make a contact with somebody in Valencia, Spain, at like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, to some people that's a pretty big deal. But what it does is it demonstrates that you could have reliable communication on certain bands at certain times of the day. And a lot of these guys I've talked to like 10, 20, 30 times, sometimes every night. I'd get on there and talk to these guys and see, they would start to remember who you are and all this stuff. The 20 meter band, 14 megahertz, is really good in the evening towards the summer, but in the winter it's not real good. And then right now I think we pretty much lost the 10 meter band. So we get James Redmond in there. So the radio stuff, I'm not that active on the radio anymore like I used to be, and if it wasn't for the channel, I probably wouldn't even be on the radio at all. I've kind of gotten really burned out. In fact, we have a ham fest tomorrow. I'm not even going to go because what am I going to do? Buy more stuff? I've got a whole shop full of stuff here, and I don't need any more stuff. And I don't think she wants me bringing any more stuff home. Isn't that right, Elizabeth? So, I mean, it might be cool to go there. We were just discussing this. Why do they charge people to go into a ham fest to browse? Like, I know lots of normal people that aren't hams, and if I told them, hey, there's a swap meet tomorrow, you guys want to go? They'd be like, sure. Well, I'm like, well, it's $5 to get in. They're like, oh, no, I'm not interested. That's exactly what would happen. So how are you going to attract new people into a hobby on, like, amateur radio when you're charging them just to go browse something? Like, if I go to the local flea market that they do, like, every, what is it, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, they don't charge you to go in there and look at stuff. They charge the sellers to rent a space. So if you go into a ham fest, you shouldn't have to pay to go in there. And then people, when I brought this up in the past before, and people argue with me, they're like, well, because of this and this, and it's like, well, okay, you don't need to provide porta potties. Like, the people can go find a place to go to the bathroom. You know, they can go to the bathroom somewhere else. Like this one that they're doing tomorrow is right next door to the Walmart. And they claim that, well, the club needs this, the club needs that. Well, the club isn't going to need anything if people stop going to these ham fests and new people don't come into the fold and the numbers dwindle. See, they're worried about the $5 per person, and eventually they're not going to have anybody to take the $5 from because nobody's going to be going. All these old guys are dying off. And there's a couple of ham fests in Arizona that have got smart, and they don't charge. They don't charge you to go in. They charge the seller $5 or $10. You know? So without the buyers there, the sellers aren't going to sell anything. You need to encourage people to go to these ham fests. And it's not the amount of the money, it's the principle of the matter to most people. They're like, I don't want to pay to go to this thing. I don't even know if it's going to be any good. Why do I want to pay? I mean, and some of these ham fests are a real flop. You know, they're not organized well. And like a couple of them, they would schedule them on like the same day as another one that's another, you know, halfway across the state. Or they would schedule them on the same day that there's a big, huge one in California that people would travel to. So, and then this particular ham fest keeps moving around because the club people, in my opinion, aren't really all that, well, what do I say? Let's put it this way. They are more concerned about their social time at the club meetings than they are actually getting on the radio. See, a ham radio club is a result of radio activity and people actively using radios, ham radio, HF, UHF, VHF, whatever. Now, if those people aren't active and all they do is go to the club meetings, and that's all they're worried about, then they stop doing their local nets, they stop doing any kind of emergency prepared stuff, they basically are useless to a new ham. They can't Elmer anybody or teach anybody anything. All they care about is going to their meetings. And that's how this particular area in Yavapai County, Arizona is. The club president, I don't know if he's still the president, used to do this 10-meter net that he was never there for, but he wouldn't turn it over to somebody else to do it. So he was never there to do his own net. And so somebody else would always have to step in and do it, and eventually there was nobody on there to do the net. And the same thing happened with the 2-meter sideband net. They assigned it to some lady that I never ever heard do the net. And her name is still up on their little schedule thing. So, but with these ham fests, they need to let people in for free. They need to promote it. They need to try and get people that are in other electronic sectors of things interested. Maybe offer free testing at some of the places. I know some of them, I think Scottsdale was doing a free testing. So, like, you get these people to come into the ham fest because they're like, I'm going to take my ham test for free. I don't want to pay $35. Because the people that are interested in ham radio are usually cheap. So you tell them, free test. They're going to come to the ham fest. And they're going to take their free test. And if they pass their test, they're going to walk around. They're going to buy something. They're going to buy a radio. you know, and they might even buy an HF radio. I mean, that's the way to do it. But you try and nickel and dime everybody to death, $5 to get in, $10 for however many parking spots you want if you're a seller. Just charge them $10 and give them 2 spots. And if they need more than that, then, whatever. But they're doing like one ham fest. They want $20 to sell, and they're forcing you to buy 4 spots or something stupid. So, but if you let the people in for free, the sellers are going to sell stuff. People are going to tell their friends about it. I mean, I don't know. A lot of this stuff, you talk to the old timers around here, and they're like, man, they used to have these big, huge ham fests. It was crazy. Now there's like hardly anybody. Like the last couple of ones, I didn't even go to them because I knew there wasn't going to be anybody hardly there. Like a couple of them, we drove to one time. It was in where the hell was it? We drove to 2 of them in Payson, and those 2 were bad. We drove to one in Kingman. That was really bad. And, I mean, we never went to those ones again. So, let's see what does James say. My wife won't let me go to them either. I have not been to a single ham fest yet in 1 year of being a ham. Well, you got to get her interested in radio, maybe. I don't know. Ones around here let you in for free if you're testing, and testing there is usually $15. I like that idea better. Well, yeah, there's a lot of gatekeeping too, and then also we have tons of repeaters here. My radio's scanning right now. It's Friday night. There's nobody on there. I heard 2 guys earlier today talking. One guy was talking about he wanted to start a GMRS repeater out in Paulden. I'm like, you can't even get hams on the radio. You're trying to start a GMRS radio repeater? But his logic was okay. He said there's people I know that don't want to study for a ham license, and they might get with GMRS. I'm like, you still have to pay to use a GMRS repeater. You need a license. You can't just, And one thing I've noticed about GMRS, that they are serious about the license for the repeaters. I thought for sure it would just be a bunch of bootleggers, but not only was it not, but it was a bunch of angry, mean people, and that was a whole other gatekeeping thing. They made ham radio look like amateurs. I had no joke intended there, but I just remember I've lived in Washington, I've lived in Oregon, I've lived in California, and I've seen all this on 2 meters and 440, all this gatekeeping. You want to see some serious gatekeeping? 220 band. They have like 220 repeaters where they publish the wrong frequencies on purpose because they don't want anybody else using their private thing, And it's not hard to find out what, PLL tone that they're using or whatever. But they get really mad when you figure out their PL tones. And the same thing with the GMRS people. They try and keep that stuff private. But and some of them you have to request the deal. I don't care if you paid for a repeater or not. It's public. And I don't see ham radio, it's definitely public. I don't know the laws specifically with GMRS, but with ham radio, no transmission is allowed to be encrypted, and everything is of public nature, which means that if I want to stream somebody on the radio and record them and put them on YouTube, I can do it all day long. I had a couple of people on 3853 try and tell me, no, you can't do that, it's illegal, and blah, blah, blah. And what it boils down to is they were just saying a bunch of crazy stuff, and over the years on the radio, and they realized, this might look really bad if people are able to, see all the stuff we're saying on the radio. And what about the times I was drunk on the radio and this guy recorded me? I've got some pretty good ones on a couple of these people around here. And I've got them private and on another YouTube channel, but I have caught some real drunk activity on the radio and real bad behavior, running extreme amounts of power and just ridiculous crap. I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble, but I recorded it because it was wow, this is nuts, And one guy is just he just forgets about it, it's never happened. But then there's other people that they're on the radio and everything is a story. They just oh well, I did this and did this, and um, I don't need to get too specific because I don't want to call anybody out, but like, and you tell me that you like were friends with Mike Tyson and other things like that. It's like, what am I supposed to just say? Sure. Oh, cool. What was it like to hang out with Mike Tyson? you know, um, oh, just like some people can't help it. It's like they have to make up stuff, and they start to get to the point where it's just so ridiculous. It's like, you were roommates with Mike Tyson. Wow, you must be famous. Oh yeah, the doctor's visits. That's just like horrible. But I kind of have to try and remind myself, ham radio is a useless communication unless there is an emergency. So there's only so much that you can really talk about. That's why I like it when it's like, okay, let's try this radio out. Let's try this antenna out. Let's test our stuff and not talk about our doctor's appointments. But you got to realize a lot of these guys, what they really want to do is they want to go buy a brand new 101 and a brand new, what's that amp? The Mercury Lux, which does an illegal amount of power, by the way. All those Mercuries will do well over 1,500 watts if you drive them with 100 watts. The LD Moss amps are real low drive, and they have a padding circuit on them too. But, so these guys, they want to go buy a 101, and they want a Mercury, and they want some godforsaken $700 Buckmaster off-center fed dipole, and they put this crap up, and they want to talk about their doctor's appointments. They don't want to understand how does this amp work, how does this radio work, how does this antenna work, why does this antenna work good here and not over here? Well, how does this antenna react when we move it 30 feet higher above the ground? They just want to get on there and talk about their doctor's visit. And it's like, I guess I get it, because like this is like the original social media forum. I mean, think about in the beginning of ham radio, after, I would imagine the first real contacts were about experimentation and trying to talk as far as they possibly could, like the first transatlantic, transmissions. And actually, that's even before ham radio, because there wasn't really a license requirement, and you had Marconi and all these other guys doing different things. But once it got to the point where people were no longer doing CW and they were talking on AM phone, it became like a social thing, but I still think that it was largely an experimental hobby. And the novices had to build their own equipment. They had to learn CW. They had to quickly pass a certain amount, or they actually lost their license. And so it wasn't like you could just be a novice and stay a novice. You had to step it up in a certain amount of time. It was like having a learner's permit, for a motorcycle endorsement. You had to have the learner's permit, and you needed to be ready to pass that test in a certain amount of time. And so nowadays, most people don't build anything, myself included. I mean, I've built a few things, some tuners and things like that, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of kit stuff available. But back then, like, they literally had to, because you just weren't going to go call up HRO and give them $1,200 and have a 7300 shipped to your door, and I think that has probably negatively affected ham radio to some degree, but not as bad as I think most people think, because with all the other technology in the rest of the world, everything has changed, and it has to move along at some point. It can't just be like this, I don't know, black magic or whatever, where there's so this mystery about how it works. But I think a lot of people just don't care how it works. They just want to get on the radio and talk. And I think nowadays a lot of CB guys are more hands-on than ham operators, because, well, they're always blowing their amps up, so they're learning how to fix them, or not. But and they'll experiment with crazy antennas. And I mean, you look at some of the CB crowd is usually a pretty serious one. I mean, like, there's not a lot of people interested in that anymore, so the ones that are involved in it are pretty serious. And some of these guys, I mean, if you're going to run 10, 30,000 watts, you got to know something, okay? And we got hams here that can't even keep a mercury amp from blowing up. So to run, some kind of crazy 10,000 watt transmitter, you know, their driver is like the SB220 or something. And so these guys, I don't know what most of them do, but all you gotta do is turn on channel 6 and you can hear, I mean, you can see the signals. You know that these guys are running a ton of power, and they're way more knowledgeable than the average ham, because if they weren't, then they would have to pay somebody to do all this stuff for them. There's no way you're going to be able to run a 10,000 watt radio station and not know what the hell you're doing. You're going to have to slowly work your way up to that. And with ham radio today, there's just none of that. I mean, there's guys that run that kind of power on the ham bands, but probably not a lot. Maybe in other countries. Holy shit, it's Mike. Oh, I just cussed. Now we're in trouble. Okay, so the views are going to go down, Mike. So anyway, I'm just trying to discuss ham radio so we can see what the algorithm wants. So, anyway, there's a ham fest tomorrow, Mike. I'm not going to it. I'm not going to pay $5 to go look at people's broken garbage. And, I mean, would you want to have to pay? I don't know. Do they do ham fests in Scotland? I guess they probably don't, do they? But, I mean, would you want to pay to go look at stuff that's like... A ham fest is everybody else's junk that they've already tried to sell on Craigslist and offer up in Facebook Marketplace. They've already offered it to all their friends, and nobody wants it because it's junk. And they're like, well, we'll just take it to the ham fest because I'll probably never see whoever I sell it to again, and I'll tell them it works. That's what a ham fest is 90% of. I mean, if you want to get screwed over, just go buy an HF radio from a ham fest from some guy that tells you it works. That's the quickest way to get screwed. I cannot tell you how many radios I bought from the ham fest. You have to treat them like they're broken. If you think that you're going to go to a ham fest and buy a radio that's not broken, and it's older, you're in for a treat. I mean, really. And let's see. So every radio that I've gotten from a ham fest, HF, has all had something wrong with it. The radios that I bought that did not have things wrong with them were from people on Craigslist, OfferUp, different places like that, friend of a friend. Those are the radios you're going to get that aren't broken. eBay is another iffy one. But I mean, if I was a new ham, I wouldn't want to be buying a radio from a ham fest in Arizona. And some of these old dudes are pretty shady, and they just want to get rid of their junk or somebody else's estate that they got from somebody else for free. And you can see the same guy bring the same truckload of crap to every ham fest for 5 years or more, and he never sells. And they just don't get it. They're like, oh, I'm asking too much money. I mean, there's one guy, he gets people's estates and stuff like that, so he doesn't really care. And I think that these guys don't care because they just, it's something for them to do, so they don't care if the stuff sells or not. It doesn't matter to them. So they'll just, like, put ridiculous prices on this used gear that they don't know anything about, they haven't tested. And they're throwing it in the back of a trailer, usually, so if it wasn't broken already, it might be now. They got tubes in them, The one guy, I know Brian was looking at it, he had a Tempo radio station, and I've seen that Tempo radio station at least 10 ham fests. And it's like, That's a tube hybrid radio. I mean, like, the chances could be pretty good that those could be broken inside of there now. You see just thrashing it around, throwing it in the back of a trailer. And then, some of these hamfests, it's rained and they had all this stuff out there and the crap got rained on. So, that's why I generally try not to buy anything from a hamfest unless I'm like, this is going to be a project. Like, I forget it was a guy, he wanted $350 for a Kenwood TS 430, and I went and talked to him, and I was like, "Does it work?" And I forget what he said. He said something weird, but then more that I asked him, he was like, "Well, I wanted to use it on 11 meters, but then something was wrong, and it wouldn't turn on, and then I went and turned it on again, and it turned on, and so I just bought a 7300." And I'm like, so it doesn't work. Well, I don't know. It should. I go, these things are riddled with problems with cold solder joints. And you want me to pay you $350 and you just told me that it shut down on you one time. Or a couple of times. Or every time? And he's like, well, it did it a bunch of times and then it worked fine for a while. He's like backpedaling. And I was like, I'll give you $150 for it because it's broken. And I'm going to be in it. And I said, I have a YouTube channel. I make a video fixing the radio. And you can watch me fix this radio. And, and my people like to watch this kind of stuff. I said, other than that, like, I don't have a use for it once it's done. In fact, it's sitting somewhere in here. I mean, I should probably sell it. But the problem is with the Hamfest, you can't get much money for those kind of things. So, at the end of the Hamfest, I think we walked over to him, and he was like, I think I gave him $150 for it. I can't remember. If Brian was in here, he would remember. And then we were trying to leave, and I was looking at these Kenwood twins that this guy had, and I really, was just curious because my friend Lee that died away, W0DGE, Lee died in 2023? Yeah. He had the Kenwood twins. And one of the guys got all of his stuff, and it could have been his, actually, but was looking at it because of that, and this guy didn't want to take him home, and we were talking about the radios, and I was like, I don't really want them, I don't have room for them. And he's like, well, just make me an offer. And I'm like $80. I don't remember what it was. No, it was like $50. I think I ended up paying him $80 for it because Brian said, "Dude, you should buy these, and you could make you could make a video of these radios on the channel. It'll be for good content." And I made a couple of videos, and that was when I made the video with the guys on 3853, and I said, "Hey, I'm using these radios, and you guys are going to be on YouTube, okay? And you can hear what you sound like." And so I was very clear. Hey, you're going to be on YouTube. You're going to be on my channel. Everybody knows I have a channel. And nobody had a problem with it. And then a little bit while later, they had a problem with it. So it's just like, God, you can't do anything. That kind of really killed it for me. It's like, I'm not going to sit and talk to you guys every night if I can't make videos and I can't share what I'm doing. I mean, but anyway, the twins. Oh, looking at twins. Yes, they're actually not twins. One is a early 599 transmitter, and the other one's a later 599A receiver. And so they're similars. It would be like a 1990 Honda Civic and a 92 Honda Civic. Something like that. But anyway, just calm down over there. Get all excited. So, boy. Yeah. So anyway, I bought a bunch of stuff like that to treat it like it's broken, and it was. They were all broken. The Twins, they're broken. There's, they got some stuff wrong with them. What other radio did I buy that was broken? Oh, I bought a 706 Mark II-G from one dude, and he told me there was nothing wrong with it. That thing burned up 10 minutes after I had it at home. And it had multiple problems with it because I had to have Kevin fix it, and then a couple of years later I realized 440 didn't work on it. And that was a cold solder joint in that radio too. But you got to be careful if you're buying stuff from a ham fest. You can't be paying top dollar. You need to assume that it's broken. So, and eBay, same thing. Assume it's broken. Plus, it might get broken when it gets shipped to you. A lot of guys like to do that because then they can play little games and try and get the stuff cheap, which I really don't think is good. But I know everybody likes a deal. But me personally, I'm not hoping that the postal carrier is going to smash my radio up that I order on eBay so that I can talk the seller down or file a claim on the radio or any of that crap. I don't want to deal with that stuff if I don't have to. I mean, that's called shady. And, what comes around goes around. It's kind of eventually, it's going to bite you. Plus, it's just a gamble, ordering something off of eBay. I know lots of guys that are like, oh, yeah, I sell all kinds of radios on eBay. I buy all kinds of radios. Well, good for you, but I'm not gambling, because I've seen what happens when they're not packed right. I mean, if you don't pack a radio to the point where you can just take it and throw it in the back of a truck from 5 feet away, because that's what's going to happen to it when it gets shipped. It's not going to make it. You're going to get this thing and the VFO knob's going to be sticking out of the front of the box. And, I run into tons of radios where the VFO knob is bent, and it's usually why. The VFO knob is bent because it got shipped, or somebody stored it improperly, dropped it on its face, or whatever, But anyway, it looks like the stream is doing good. I don't know if it's just subscribers popping in here. But, I mean, we have a little bit more than normal. So I think what we might try and do with the stream is just kind of like every Friday, just try and do a stream. And just see how it goes, but no more daily streaming. Because the algorithm is really picky about how things happen and what goes on. And I'm trying really hard to get to 10,000 subscribers right now. And I have tried over and over and over to do the same thing for a while, so that's why I'm trying to do something different. So I think maybe just stream Friday evening, maybe not stream from the computer and that kind of stuff, because when you do like a screen capture and your face is not in there with it, I think that they kind of identify that as possible spamminess, and so they kind of block it. But I need them to promote my channel, not hide it. And because I made so much progress in a couple of months to only just go down to basically nothing. And so I'm just trying to figure out why that is. But outside of getting on here and talking about ham radio and stuff like that, I don't really know what else I can really do. I mean, I could turn on the radio, I can turn the camera around, we could look on the deal here and see if there's anything interesting on the bands. We can see if there are any weird people like W7MBR or any of the other various people on 7.200. But I don't know how YouTube handles that, because they transcribe every single thing. And so when somebody is playing a recording using the N-word, which they do, and that comes across your stream, I think you're in deep crap. And these guys on 7200, they have absolutely no limit to what they're doing, what they're willing to do or say. And they were playing a recording of some black guy using that word over and over and over. And there's at least 2 or 3 times that I was doing a live stream and that popped up. I mean, you can't catch it quick enough. You don't know that they're going to do it. And once it's out there, so, and I think I forgot about one of them, but you try and delete the stream afterwards, but I think that it's still there. So usually with a live stream, I don't leave them on there anymore. Like, I don't let them upload after I'm done. Because I think that if there's something questionable in the live stream, if you just delete it, it won't be there. It might not be used against you. I don't know. But to stream these guys acting badly on the radio, I think gets you in trouble. I mean, even though you're just the messenger and you're just showing what's going on, I think that it's still considered offensive content. I mean, you think about it like this. Would you want your 5-year-old kid to hear what these guys are doing on 7.200 or 3845 or those guys on 7255 or whatever, or 7260? You know, would you really want your kids to hear that? And the answer is no, which means that it's not appropriate for YouTube either. And so I can't really put that kind of content out there, even though, like, it's sort of entertaining. I mean, it's pretty funny when the guy is drunk on the radio and he's going, "What's your cacao?" You know, and doing all that. But they get they take it just a little too far, and you know, they start cussing and swearing and doing all this other stuff and using, you know, racial slurs and things like that, and sexual deviant weird terminologies, and you know, what do you call that when, you know, I mean, but they're like putting labels and stereotypes on people and stuff. And YouTube is very, very, very hot against that. I mean, like, you know, you got to be careful. You cannot, like, offend people or hurt their feelings. Everybody's got to be, you know, you got to tiptoe around everything. And so it doesn't matter if you're the one saying it or if the people on the radio are saying it. You're going to get in trouble. And I'm sure that's what happened to me. I'm sure that's why they were putting the brakes on me, because I would stream that stuff for a while, and then the streams would do really bad. And I would take a break for like a week or so, and then I would start to do good again, and then I'd stream the same stuff, and then they'd put the brakes on me again. And after doing that so many times, they're like, we're going to put you in the timeout room. And so, but they don't tell you. It'd be so nice if YouTube would say, "Hey, you have content out here that has strikes, copyright strikes, whatever." Like, also the other thing, you can't make a video with music in the background, even if you're critiquing that music and you're using the fair use copyright law. They still will strike that against you eventually. I don't know how these people are getting away with doing these videos where, like, there's a lady, she does like a reaction to certain songs or whatever. It's supposed to be like an opera singer. Opera singer reacts to listening to Slayer, Rain and Blood for the first time. You know, how do they get away with that? I made a couple of videos with music in the background that I was talking about the music, and I had to take them down because they gave me copyrights on them. So I don't know. But YouTube will send you information on a copyright, but they won't go, "Hey, we don't like these keywords that are popping up in your live streams." You know, they don't trigger off of that. So you're not going to get in trouble in an obvious way. You're just going to go, "Huh, why is it so quiet in here?" You know, it's like you do something awkward and goofy and everybody wants to get away from you, kind of thing. You start to realize, did I smell funny? You know? So with YouTube, you have to read between the lines, because they're not going to tell you. They're just going to direct traffic in a different area, or even completely probably suppress your channel, hide it to where nobody's going to see what you're doing, because they don't want that, because it doesn't make them money, okay? Unless your content is offensive and it just pulls in a ton of people, I don't think they want to deal with it. And so with them, it's all about the advertising revenue. It's all about getting people interested in something. So if you do anything that they consider, not politically correct, you know, you're just going to get slowly moved off to the side. And I've been doing this for long enough to tell. Let's see, I started this channel, according to statistics, I started it in 2015. My original channel was actually around 2010 or somewhere around there, whenever YouTube first started. And I tried to merge two channels together, and what it did was it deleted one and left this channel. And I had like 400 subscribers, 300 subscribers back in like 2019 when I accidentally did that. So I had to start the entire channel basically over. I think there was like, I had 30 subscribers on this channel in 2019 when I was like, okay, we're going to get serious. We're going to make videos about portable ham radio. We're going to get subscribers. We're going to get monetized. We're going to make money. We're going to use that money to buy radios to review. And that never happened until 2023. So it took me 4 years of making videos. And the style of videos that I'm doing right now might be trending, but it wasn't trending back then. And everybody wanted to see a really nice, smooth, not shaky camera. They want your face up in the corner over here, the desk over here, the radio over here. They want the Crash Course Ham Radio 2.0 temporarily offline type of format with the green cutter mat in the background. That's what they wanted. And people didn't want to watch your channel. I get so many people telling me, don't do this. You need to quit. Stop doing this. Get a life. Do this, do that. Oh, you suck, and or whatever. Just very few people when I first started were like, they're like, oh my God, very few people were nice. They would complain about the camera shaking. It's like, hey, I'm making these videos to show you how to do certain weird things that nobody else is doing. I'm taking apart radios and filming it. It's like, I'm not a film person. I've learned to get better at it, but I still suck. But people it's tough. Like with YouTube back then, 2019, 2020, 2023, between there, really a bunch of animals in 2020 because everybody was like bored sitting at home and just like critical of everybody and everything. But I've always had this kind of just like, don't edit the video, just record it all in one shot or start over and do it again. Make it look like, just raw, unedited content, like you're seeing everything that's happening. There's no magic here. We didn't hide anything. When we break something, we didn't hide that. It's all, you're seeing the full deal. You're not getting tricked. Whereas, like, these other guys put out really polished videos, and, they might spend, 10 hours to record, 2 hours worth of video, or whatever they do. They batch make their videos and do all that. I don't do that. I'm very much, like, I have an idea. Okay, let's get the camera out. Let's roll with it. And I don't know if that's really trending on YouTube. I hear it is. So, but my views say it's not trending, or they're just hiding my channel still. But I noticed that the shorts, I put a short out, and now we can do a related video. So I put a short out, and I try and keep most of my videos lately really short anyways, so try and keep them around 3 minutes, because what happens is people start to watch a video and it's like, cut to the chase. I mean, I'm the same way. I watch somebody's video, I'm like, and she does it too. She'll speed up the video so that, so you can, I watch a video, I want information. I'm not watching because I'm bored. I am trying to figure out something. There's a problem and I need an answer. and I don't want to watch 30 minutes of crap if I can, cut to the chase. And it's really a great era that we live in. I mean, like, I worked automotive for many, many years before the internet was, like, prevalent, and we didn't just go like, hey, let's look it up on YouTube or let's Google it. It wasn't really a thing then. We did have a system called Identifix that you had to pay for. It was a subscription. Usually, I think it was by Mitchell, but it might have been all data. I don't know. But Identifix, you'd type your problem in there, and you'd see, 20,000 other people have this same problem on a Chevrolet transfer case rubbing through the back of the pump housing. And here's the fix. And, or no start condition on the whatever, it would, and then after a certain point in time, everybody started looking everything up on the internet. So I mean, like, that's what I do. I just look stuff up. I mean, like, why do I want to figure out the hard way? Let somebody else figure it out, and they made a video, and now I can watch their video as quickly as possible. So I'm trying to keep my videos a little bit shorter. So for those people like me that don't want to watch me babble for 30 minutes about how to install Ubuntu on your computer, Anyway, but I find that the best content is usually how to help people do stuff. But the problem is that kind of content doesn't get you lifelong subscribers. That gets somebody, they watch the video, they found the solution, they're like, thanks, out of here, and they don't ever watch your channel again. And that's what I started doing in the beginning, and I realized that doesn't work. You have to somehow attract and engage people to want to watch your channel. And maybe it's just like they want to see what kind of junk is he going to get at the thrift store today. What kind of goofy radio is he going to buy at one of the ham fests, and or what goofy radio is he going to buy on Amazon and review. And so that's kind of what I try to do, is keep things interesting. What kind of computer am I going to, find at the thrift store and throw together, or, whatever. But sometimes it's hard to come up with ideas for videos, especially if you're very strict on just being ham radio, because there's only so much stuff. That's why you end up with the doctor reports. Like these other guys, they can't come up with anything either, and they're not doing YouTube. They're just like, so I went to the doctor today. I mean, you guys know how it is if you've listened. In fact, why don't we go check right now and see who's giving a doctor report on the radio? So let's see if I can get the camera over to. We need the 3000, I think. So the 3000 is over there on that screen, and I'm just going to pull up the SDR play, and we'll let that open. It is hot in here today. We hit about 93 degrees, maybe more. So I don't know how to keep myself in the frame here and have the radio up. That's kind of hard to do. I really need like 2 cameras, and on a live stream that's like really difficult. So let's see here. The problem is I end up blocking the radio. I'd be surprised if there's anybody even on. Now these guys here get pretty wild too. 30, 39, 33. We could do Mike's favorite. Choked on this damn soda.
Report, I'll give you one back, over. 10-0 LAF, D copy, K9RN.
We need this going. And it keeps defaulting. I want it muted.
I'll turn it back to you there, John. No joy here. KC5K, this is KC.
Unlock the LO. Man. I don't know how well you guys can see the screen. There we go. So we're on the Triple H net. It'd be nice if I could just switch my camera lens. I never check in here anymore because this thing has just gotten bad. So 20 meters, lots of FT8. There might be a signal right here. No, that's something else. It won't let me look at the band where I want to look at it. That looks like AM. So, I see a signal there. This is all above the band. Or excuse me, below. Killing my ears. 14150. There is absolutely nothing on 20 meters right now. Nothing. Yeah, I'm really not seeing anything. There we go. But see, there's a signal right here. Let me zoom into this. I'm having trouble figuring out this waterfall. Okay. Very faintly see a few signals on here, and I can kind of hear them. But I mean, it's probably nothing I'm going to be able to make contact with. Let me see if I can rotate the camera and yep, there we go. Okay, let me it's all Mike's fault. Let me get this thing moving. I wish I could turn on the air conditioner out here, but the solar is completely dead. There's a few weak signals, but other than that, 20 is completely toast.
Brian, last heard you were 5 and 757 over.
We got a couple pretty big signals over here.
Yeah, but you're still loud and clear. I don't know, the band's kind of weird tonight, but you're your usual signal strength so far. WA90SK, WD9MSX.
Let's see what this other signal is.
Running a vintage Kenwood PS830 Sugar. What are you using there? Okay, very good. Yeah, the 830 is just a nice radio.
I see. At least they're talking about radios and not doctor's appointments so far. Anyway, guys, I'm going to cut it short because it's getting kind of warm out here, and I'm kind of all talked out, and I'm going to try to keep myself on the camera rather than the radio. So, we'll catch you guys later, all right?